Eldritch Soup for your soul. Welcome everybody to Eldritch Soup for your soul. And yes, as people have pointed out, I did botch the intro of my first video, which I said the soul, so my bad. But today we are going back into some GBT, some COC, where I will have Chat GPT running as keeper for a solo Call of Cthulhu campaign, which is titled Cosmic Detective Unveils. We are following a 32-year-old occult detective named Sabrina, who has arrived in Arkham, Mass after hearing rumors of occult activity. Now, this episode is going to probably be a make or break for me because usually with Chat GPT, it has a really hard time with continuity. It has no issues creating singular narratives. However, when it tries to string them together, this is where I found that the problems start. I am using a prompt from RPGPrompts, which is pretty extensive, so I have some high hopes. But let's recap some stuff before we dive in again. So Sabrina gets into Arkham late at night and basically hits the ground running and starts her investigation off at 9 p.m. Her first stop is an occult shop, which is manned by a strange old man with a white beard. Through basic questioning, we find out that this man has dedicated his life to the occult and his occult collection. We do confirm that there are rumors of occult activity, specifically on the outskirts of Arkham. 2 people have gone missing so far. One is a painter who tried to investigate the occult activity before she went missing, as well as a professor from Miskatonic University who is diving way too deep into the Necronomicon. She keeps her questioning pretty vague, as well as her own knowledge, because she's afraid that the old man has some kind of connections to this cult activity and does not want to alert them that she's investigating. She then moves on to the local pub, which is called the Shrouded Lantern. She strikes up a friendly conversation with the bartender while just kind of observing the people in the pub to see if she notices anything strange. Spoiler alert, she absolutely does. Not only is there a super sketchy person who looks like he's on the brink of a mental breakdown in the corner, there's also a group of locals who look very, very unwell and whispering in hushed voices, confirming that there is strange activities with cults on the outskirts of town. Using her investigative skills, she does notice that they draw a strange symbol on their hand, which then she traces down. She does notice a very dark and bizarre painting in the pub that has a strange symbol on it. She asks the bartender about it, and he states that the painting was connected with a secret cult. Armed with this knowledge, she goes back to her lodgings and starts to dive into her occult books to see what she can find out with this new information. She does discover that the symbol is attached to an occult ritual, a ritual that opens a portal to a different dimension of power and knowledge. Now, it is noted that this ritual does open a portal to a different dimension and or communing with elder/outer gods. She then rests for the night. She awakens fully rested, armed with new knowledge, and we are going to dive back into this investigation. So just for ha-has, I did ask ChatGPT how long this campaign does last or investigation, and it basically told me to go F myself. So that's a great start. So our first stop is going to be Miskatonic University. And we have 2 goals in mind. Number 1 is that their library is going to be a lot more extensive than our handful of books. So we're going to see if they have any more information about this symbol, the ritual, the cult, etc. And 2 is that a professor went missing after diving too deep into the Necronomicon. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean this professor was directly involved with the cult, but there is a thought in the back of my mind that if they were investigating the Necronomicon, perhaps this cult got a little too sketched out by this and just took them out. With her mind set on her objectives, Sabrina gathers all the necessary materials for her investigation. She ensures that her notepad, sketch of the painting symbol, and the research materials are securely packed in her bag. Checking her inventory, she makes sure she has enough bullets, lockpicks, and currency to aid her during the journey. Heading towards Miskatonic University, Sabrina feels a mix of excitement and trepidation. The university's vast library is renowned for its collection of rare and arcane tomes, and she hopes to find valuable information about the symbol and the cult that has eluded her thus far. As she arrives at the university, its imposing Gothic architecture looms overhead, giving an air of solemnity and mystery. Making her way to the library, Sabrina approaches the librarian and requests access to the occult section. She explains her interest in researching the twisted spiral symbol and any information related to hidden cults. So we hit a little bit of a speed bump, which I just had to correct Chat GPT. For instances like this, I don't mind because it's just going to help the Chat GPT's algorithm and help this investigation. But the little speed bump was that basically Sabrina just asks for the book and the librarian just gives it to her. Most people who deal with the occult are not very trusting of others, especially in a place like Miskatonic, which has dealt with people like the Whateleys and the Dunwich Horror, as well as others who have misused occult information, specifically the Necronomicon. I'm going to say I highly doubt the librarian was just like, here you go, have fun with the Necronomicon. Try not to get yourself and others killed. But I digress. With her investigator's badge in hand, Sabrina presents it to the librarian, who studies it carefully before nodding in approval. Recognizing Sabrina's authority as a detective, the librarian grants her access to the occult section of the library. So for this, I did give it an example of, she gives her badge, and that's why she allows her in. Otherwise, don't be afraid to use persuasion checks, etc. Sabrina delves into the dusty shelves, carefully perusing the ancient tomes and occult manuscripts. As she searches for any references to the twisted spiral symbol or hidden cults, she comes across several relevant texts that pique her interest. Roll for library use. They see me rolling. Dayton. The dice I'm using are these absolutely gorgeous custom tentacle Cthulhu dice. I posted on my TikTok, so if you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out because these things are gorgeous. But clickety clackety, I roll for a tacky. 47, that is a pass. Another little hiccup, it was trying to roll with a d20. Reason being, I have no idea. Just told it that we're using percentage dice per the Keeper Handbook, and it just adjusted accordingly, so it's still a pass. Sabrina's library use skill proves to be invaluable as she diligently searches through the occult section of the Miskatonic University library. Among the dusty tomes and ancient manuscripts, she finds several references to the twisted spiral symbol and hidden cults. Oh, we getting lore dumped hard. The twisted spiral symbol is indeed an arcane sigil with deep ties to the occult. It represents a gateway to other dimensions and is often used in rituals to communicate with entities beyond our reality. The symbol is associated with a secretive cult known as the Children of the Abyss. This cult is said to be devoted to ancient cosmic entities seeking to gain forbidden knowledge and power through their dark arts. The Children of the Abyss are rumored to have connections to various locations around Arkham, including the old abandoned estate on the outskirts of town. They are believed to conduct their ceremonies at specific celestial alignments, harnessing the energies of the stars to achieve their dark goals. The disappearance of the professor might be linked to his research into the cult and the twisted spiral symbol. It is likely that he uncovered something dangerous or stumbled upon knowledge that made him a target for the cult's nefarious activities. So that just kind of confirmed that the professor was looking into this, or he uncovered something about the cult and was looking into the cult themselves. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Sabrina gains a deeper understanding of the mysteries surrounding the painting, the symbol, and the missing professor. However, the investigation is far from over, and she knows that delving further into the secrets of the cult and the old estate will be fraught with peril. And the game is asking for another character sheet update. Very generous. So I rolled a 4, so that is a fail, so I will not be upgrading library use skill. Sabrina begins her inquiries at Miskatonic University, seeking information about the missing professor and any potential colleagues who might have valuable insights. She approaches a group of professors and researchers who are engaged in an animated discussion near the university's main building. As she introduces herself as a detective investigating the professor's disappearance, some of the researchers look wary, their eyes filled with caution. The occult and mysteries of Arkham often breed suspicion among academics. Persuasion check. That is a 21, which is a pass. With a persuasive charm and reassuring demeanor, Sabrina manages to alleviate some of the researchers' concerns. They become more open to discussing the missing professor and the circumstances surrounding his disappearance. One of the researchers, Professor Samuelson, steps forward, his expression a mix of concern and curiosity. "Detective, you say? Well, we've been worried about Professor Caldwell. He was conducting research on some unusual artifacts related to the local legends and folklore." Another researcher, Dr. O'Connor, chimes in. Yes, and he became obsessed with this symbol he found in one of the ancient tomes he brought back from an expedition. It was the twisted spiral symbol you mentioned earlier. Sabrina nods, her interest piqued. Do you know anything about his research or any specific locations he was investigating? Professor Samuelson hesitates, then says, He mentioned a few times that he was planning to visit an old abandoned estate on the outskirts of town. He believed it held some clues to the symbol's significance and its connections to the local legends, but that was the last we heard from him. Dr. O'Connor adds, And he seemed preoccupied with the stars and celestial alignments. I remember him talking about some rare astronomical event that was coming up. He thought it might shed light on the symbolism behind that twisted spiral. Sabrina thanks the researchers for their cooperation and the valuable information. As she leaves the group, she can't help but feel a sense of urgency. The clues are beginning to align, and the pieces of the puzzle are falling into place. Another character update sheet, okay. Well, if you insist. And that is a failure. No problem, didn't work. Okay, so we just got hit with a lot of information. And once again, I have two schools of thought here. One is that I want to investigate the professor's actual office to see if there's any notations there. And two is I'm definitely now at this point going to consult my leads in Arkham to see what I can find out. Especially because we know the name of the occult, we can see if anybody in Arkham has knowledge of that name, as well as do background checks on any criminals associated with that so we can actually produce a name. Sabrina decides to investigate the professor's office at Miskatonic University before she leaves to follow the trail to the old abandoned estate. She heads to the facility building where the professor had his office, hoping to find any clues or information that might shed further light on his research and the circumstances of his disappearance. As she arrives at the office door, she notices that it's slightly ajar. She pauses for a moment, her instincts urging her to be cautious. With her hand resting on her trusted revolver, she gently pushes the door open, revealing the dimly lit interior. Alright, so once again, we're doing a little bit of a correction. I don't really think that my character would just blindly walk into a door. I think she would listen before entering just to hear if there was rustling of papers, people talking, etc. So we're going to backtrack a little bit, and we are going to do a listen check. That is a 19. That is a pass. Good thing, because my listen check is a 20. As Sabrina listens intently outside the professor's office, her keen ears pick up faint sounds coming from within. It's a soft, almost imperceptible whispering, like someone speaking in hushed tones. Feeling a sense of urgency and intrigue, Sabrina gently pushes the door open and enters the dimly lit office. The source of the whispering becomes more pronounced as she steps inside, and she realizes that it's coming from a record device left on the professor's desk. Approaching the desk, she sees a reel-to-reel tape recorder, its reel spinning slowly as the voices are captured on the tape. Someone had been in the office recently, and they might have left behind valuable information. Without hesitation, Sabrina reaches for the recording device and presses the stop button. Then she rewinds the tape slightly and presses play to listen to the recording. See, now it's getting tricksy with me. It wants me to listen to determine if I can decipher any useful information. 13, that is a pass. Despite the faint whispers and the ambient noise of the recording, Sabrina manages to catch some crucial words and phrases. The voices are hushed and hurried, making it challenging to discern all the details, but she hears enough to piece together some essential information. The recorded conversation seems to involve two individuals discussing the twisted spiral symbol, the professor's research, and the upcoming rare astronomical event. They mention that the professor has indeed discovered something significant and that he might have stumbled upon a hidden truth related to the cult. One voice mentions the old abandoned estate on the outskirts of town, implying that it might be a crucial location tied to their plans. They seem eager to proceed with their rituals and preparations before the astronomical event occurs, hinting at a time-sensitive aspect to their activities. Sabrina's heart races as she listens to the recording, realizing that she's getting closer to the truth behind the professor's disappearance and the twisted spiral symbol. The urgency to investigate the old estate intensifies, knowing that the cult's activities might escalate in tandem with the approaching astronomical event. So at this point, I'm going to assume that the AI is going to always have me update my character sheet / do a character advancement when I discover something significant. All right, so let's roll for listen, which is a success. Not surprised because it is so low. Have the AI be nice and roll a D3 for us, and we got a 2. All right, so I'm asking the AI to do 2 things. One, I want to understand the importance of the astronomical event, and I would also like to do a spot hidden check to determine if I can see if there are any clues to see who broke in. Library skill is first, which is a pass. Just kidding, I can't read dice. That is a fail. And then we'll go for spot hidden. Damn, which is also a fail. 0 for 2. Sabrina spends several hours delving into the university's extensive collection of astronomical texts, seeking information on the rare celestial event mentioned in the recording. Unfortunately, despite her best efforts, she struggles to find any direct references to the specific event and its potential connection to the cult's activities. It appears that the knowledge she seeks might be beyond the reach of the university's library, which makes sense seeing that it is a rare event and that it might not be mentioned in any texts. Undeterred, Sabrina leaves the library and returns to the professor's office, hoping to find clues about the break-in. As she carefully examines the surroundings, she spots a few noteworthy details. The window near the desk shows signs of forced entry, suggesting that someone might have entered the office from the outside. Additionally, she notices tiny specks of dirt and grime near the windowsill, possibly left by the intruder. Upon closer inspection, Sabrina discovers faint footprints on the carpet leading away from the window. The footprints appear to be relatively small, indicating that the intruder might have been a slight build. As she follows the trail of footprints, she notices a torn piece of fabric caught on the door handle, likely from the intruder's clothing. With these clues in hand, Sabrina starts to piece together a possible profile of the intruder, but their identity remains elusive. Sabrina takes a moment to quickly sketch the pattern of the boot she found on her notepad, noting the unique tread design and any distinct markings that might help her identify the style of shoe. So this is on my own. I did a spot hidden check. I'm just trying to see if, I can possibly identify the style of clothing or the style of boot that this person was wearing. 99, that is a fail. I am 0 for 3. Despite her efforts, Sabrina finds it challenging to identify the exact style of shoe and clothing from the sketch and other observations. The tread pattern and other markings appear unfamiliar, and any distinctive features are not immediately recognizable to her. AK, I'm screwed in identifying this person. It seems that the intruder took measures to conceal their identity, leaving Sabrina with limited information to work with in terms of identifying their style of footwear and clothing. Okay, so I feel like I've dried up all the leads here, and now I'm going to consult my contacts in Arkham. Sabrina decides to reach out to her contacts and informants in Arkham to gather any additional information related to the cult and the upcoming rare celestial event. She knows that her contacts have their fingers on the pulse of the town's underground and might be able to provide valuable insights. Leaving Miskatonic University, Sabrina makes her way to a discreet location where she can meet with her contacts without drawing unnecessary attention. She contacts her most reliant informant, a shady character named Donovan, known for having connections to various clandestine groups. Donovan appears, his face hidden in the shadows, and gives Sabrina a nod of recognition. Sabrina, always a pleasure to see you. What can I do for you this time? Sabrina explains her investigation, mentioning the twisted spiral symbol, the missing professor, and the cult known as the Children of the Abyss. She also fills Donovan in on the upcoming rare astronomical event and its potential significance to the cult's activities. Roll for persuasion. Dear God, I failed again. Donovan eyes Sabrina cautiously, aware of the delicate nature of the information she seeks. After a moment's hesitation, he leans in closer and speaks in a low voice. You're treading on dangerous waters, my friend. The cult you're dealing with is not to be taken lightly. They have their roots in ancient rituals, and they won't hesitate to silence those who get too close. He continues. As for that astronomical event, they believe it holds the key to unlocking their darkest ambitions. Some say it's a celestial alignment that occurs once in a millennia, granting access to otherworldly realms and unimaginable power. Donovan's eyes dart around, making sure no one is eavesdropping. Nah, as for that old estate you're looking into, it's known as the House of Shadows. It's been abandoned for years, and the locals steer clear of it due to its strange occurrences reported around its vicinity. Sabrina thanks Donovan for the information, realizing the gravity of the situation she's getting herself into. She knows the dangers that lie ahead, but remains resolute in her determination to uncover the truth and stop the cult's nefarious plans. At this point, that line of dialogue has been repeated like 15 times. Game, I get it. It's about to go down. Seeing as Sabrina is alone, I definitely need as much information about this House of Shadows as possible. So I'm going to try to go to Town Hall to see if I can get any information about previous owners or maybe the schematics of the house. Sabrina realizes the importance of gathering more information about the House of Shadows before embarking on her investigation. Heading to the town hall, she inquires about any records or documents related to the old abandoned estate. At the town hall, she speaks with the town clerk, who directs her to the archives where old house plans and records are kept. Sabrina diligently searches through the dusty files and scrolls, hoping to find valuable information about the layout and the history of the mysterious house. 51. Thank God. I thought these dice were cursed for a hot second. Sabrina carefully combs through the archives at the town hall, spending several hours in search of any information related to the House of Shadows. Despite the dusty and disorganized state of the records, she managed to find a few relevant documents. The records reveal that the House of Shadows has a long and dark history. It was once the residence of an enigmatic and reclusive family known as the Wainwrights. Over the years, rumors and stories surrounding the Wainwrights and their eerie estate spread throughout Arkham. According to the house plan she discovers, the estate is large and sprawling, with multiple wings and hidden passages. Its architecture is labyrinthine and unusual, with odd symbols etched into some of the walls and door frames. I didn't even know that was a word, so I hope I pronounced it right. The house appears to be designed to confound and disorient visitors, making navigation challenging even for those who are familiar with its layout. AKA, we're headed to the Spencer Mansion, so this can either go two ways. One is it goes horrible for me and I get lost and trapped, and that is the end of Sabrina's tale. Or I can bank on the fact that the cultists don't know the estate as well as they think they do, and I can hide away and sneak around and get in and get out. The archives also contain accounts of strange occurrences reported by those who dare to venture close to the estate. Locals speak of shadowy figures glimpsed through the windows, eerie sounds emanating from darkened halls, and an overwhelming feeling of dread that hangs heavy around the property. Okay, so I asked Chat GPT basically two questions. One is, what time is it currently? Because it's stated multiple times that Sabrina has spent hours doing research. And two is that, do I know the exact day and time of this event? Even though I didn't really uncover a lot of information about it, do I at least know it? And the answer is that it's late afternoon and that we really have no idea when this event is taking place. Part of me wants to see if I can go back to the bar and see if I can recognize anybody with that clothing or the boots. But part of me is also worried that I'm going to miss information if I don't go to the estate tonight. Because on one note, I wanted to see if the abandoned estate wasn't this huge mansion, and that if she could try to jot down or memorize the schematics a little bit to help out. But seeing is that it's a Spencer mansion, the chances of that are completely zero, so I have a feeling that no amount of research is going to help with me in that regard. Decisions. Sabrina decides to visit the Shrouded Lantern once more, not only to unwind after her day of investigation, but also to observe the patrons and see if anyone matches the clothing style she sketched earlier. She enters the dimly lit pub and takes a moment to scan the room discreetly. Spot hidden check. And that is a 52, which is a pass. As Sabrina discreetly scans the room of the Shrouded Lantern, her keen eyes catch sight of a figure in the corner whose clothing bears a striking resemblance to the style she sketched earlier. The person is dressed in dark, tattered clothing with unusual symbols embroidered along the sleeves and collar. While she can't make out the person's face from a distance, Sabrina's intuition tells her that this individual might have a connection to the cult or the events she's investigating. The mysterious figure seems to be engrossed in a conversation with another patron, occasionally glancing around as if to gauge their surroundings. Feeling a mix of curiosity and caution, Sabrina decides to approach discreetly, trying not to draw attention to herself. She takes a seat at the bar, keeping the figure in her peripheral vision, and pretends to focus on her drink, while subtly eavesdropping on their conversation. Sabrina continues to listen in on the conversation between the mysterious figure and the other patron, trying to gather more information about their activities or potential involvement with the cult. She maintains a casual appearance, sipping her drink occasionally not to arouse suspicion. The conversation seems to be centered around cryptic topics, with occasional mentions of preparations and the appointed time. The mysterious figure speaks in a low, hushed tone, making it challenging for Sabrina to catch every word, but she senses a sense of urgency and anticipation in their voice. As they speak, the figure glances around the room subtly, as if searching for something or someone. Sabrina's instincts tell her that this person is not just a random patron, but possibly a member of the cult she's investigating. Just as Sabrina begins to pick up more significant details, the conversation suddenly takes a different turn. The mysterious figure glances towards the bar, and their eyes seem to meet Sabrina's briefly. The exchange is quick, but in that moment, Sabrina feels a chill run down her spine, as if the figure knows she has been listening. The person quickly finishes their drink and stands up, nodding to the other patron before making their way to the exit. Sabrina hesitates for a moment, torn between following the figure or staying in the pub to avoid drawing further attention. Okay, so I asked to see if the other person is still in the bar because ideally, I would like to follow this person and see if I can find out any more information. The other patron with whom the mysterious figure was conversing is still in the bar. As the person stands up and begins to make their way towards the exit, the other patron remains seated, seemingly engrossed in their drink. Sabrina's quick observation suggests that the two individuals didn't leave together, but rather ended their conversation, with the mysterious figure leaving alone. The other patron appears to be unaware of Sabrina's eavesdropping and continues to mind their own business. With this information in mind, Sabrina now has the option to follow the mysterious figure discreetly, confronting them directly, observe for any other suspicious individuals, leave the pub and focus on the investigation at the old abandoned estate, or consider revisiting the library or other experts for additional research, to which we will follow discreetly. Sabrina subtly pays her tab at the shrouded lantern and makes her way outside. She carefully keeps a distance from the mysterious figure, making sure not to draw attention to herself as she follows them through the dimly lit streets of Arkham. So it had me roll for stealth, but then just continued anyways, so I had Chat GPT backtrack, and I rolled and failed. Go me. Sabrina's not doing so hot tonight. Sabrina expertly maneuvers through the shadows and maintains a safe distance from the mysterious figure as she follows them discreetly. Her years of experience as an occult detective have honed her stealth skills, allowing her to remain undetected while gathering crucial information. Is this thing I passed? As the figure leads her to an ancient-looking building on the outskirts of town, Sabrina keeps her composure, not allowing her nerves to betray her presence. She observes the surroundings, taking note of any potential escape routes or hiding spots if the need arises. Yes, I'm pretty sure it thinks I passed. Arriving at the House of Shadows, Sabrina's heart races with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. The building's foreboding appearance sends shivers down her spine, a testament to its ominous reputation. We're going to go with that one. We want to gather as much information as possible. Sabrina's not a fighter by any means, and she's alone. Also kind of want to see if I can come back in the daytime and break into the building to see if I can get more information, because I feel like the cultists are all in there right now. Sabrina decides to maintain her distance and observe the House of Shadows from afar. She takes out her notepad and begins taking meticulous notes on anyone who enters or exits the building, paying close attention to their appearance, behavior, and any distinguishing features. Positioned discreetly behind a nearby tree, she remains concealed while keeping the building in her line of sight. The minutes tick by, and she manages to know a few individuals who come and go from the ominous structure. And now wants a spot hidden check. Sabrina's keen observation skills serve her well as she carefully watches the individuals coming and going from the House of Shadows. Among the people she observes, one individual stands out. He is tall, thin man dressed in dark hooded robes. The hood obscures most of his face, making it challenging to discern any features. The man's movements are deliberate and calculated, and his presence exudes an aura of authority. Sabrina notices that whenever he enters the building, the others in the vicinity seem to pay him great respect, almost as if he holds a position of leadership among the group. So I asked if, Sabrina would be able to tell how many people exactly are in the building, to which Keeper said that it's basically impossible to determine at this point. At this point, in my opinion, there's only really two options left. One is obviously just go in there guns blazing or attempt to sneak in to stop what they're doing. But so far, I've discovered kind of who the cult is, some missing people, the symbol, but nothing truly beyond that. Judging by my dice rolls today, they have been horrible. But ideally, I think my last ditch effort would to be to come back to the House of Shadows during the daytime, hoping that the cultists are gone, break in and try to recover anything or discover any more specific details. You know what thought just dawned on me is I completely forgot about the painter. Either way, that is for when Sabrina wakes up tomorrow. Sabrina quietly withdraws from her observation point, careful not to attract any attention as she slips away from the House of Shadows. The darkness of the night cloaks her movements, and she makes her way back to her lodgings undetected. Back in her room, Sabrina takes a moment to reflect on the events of the day and the information she has gathered so far. The mysterious figure, the tattooed symbol, and the eerie cult association with the upcoming celestial event weigh heavily on her mind. She knows that time is of the essence, and tomorrow's mission to sneak into the estate could be risky, but crucial in unveiling the secrets of the cult and the professor's disappearance. As she prepares for the next day, Sabrina ensures that she has all her necessary equipment, including lockpicks and any other tools that might aid her during the infiltration. She studies her notes and sketches, seeking any patterns or connections that might guide her through the investigation. And that is where we'll end it for today. So like I said, I'm going to try to sneak in to the House of Shadows. Number one, to discover any clues on specifically what they're doing or how to stop it. Worst case, if I can't figure out how to stop it, potentially steal any artifacts necessary for the ritual to buy me some time. I'm also assuming that this is where we're going to start to roll for sanity, because at this point we really haven't. And to be fair, there hasn't been really anything to roll sanity for. She's an occult detective, so she obviously knows about their nefarious doings and rituals, but we're going to see what happens when we actually break into this place. The second avenue of information I want to gather is this painter who I forgot about, because it was stated by the old man in the occult shop that, she witnessed true cosmic horrors and her paintings took a very dark turn. So did she potentially see something that she wasn't supposed to, and will that give us more information to prepare us? Also, we'll probably go back to that occult guy to see if he... Also, just thinking out loud at this point, I should go back to the old occult guy to see if I provide any information to what I've discovered, if he has any more information for me or anything that can prepare for this upcoming infiltration. Because I feel the more information I get, the better I can solve the case and put an end to it. If this turns into a fight or comes to blows, I'm pretty sure that will be the end of Sabrina. So regardless if you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, if you like the content, obviously subscribe for more. If you are watching on YouTube, dropping a like or comment is greatly appreciated. But episode 3 will pick up right where we're leaving off, so stay tuned.